I'm glad to see you. Let's call this meeting to order, and let's start our meeting with the invocation. Councilmember Davis.
All right, Lord, we thank you for allowing us to make it here safely. We thank you, Lord, that you give us wisdom to make decisions for our city. We thank you that we continue to see our city grow. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Let us all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you all. The mayor is absent today. He should be calling in shortly. He has a few items on the council members' request, but in the meantime, we're going to get started and get to rolling. So let's start with our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I would ask Assistant City Manager Jody Phelps to come forward for two quick announcements.
Hey, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I wanted to take this opportunity, and these individuals are not aware of this because I did not warn them of this, but I wanted to introduce two key members of our team that may be new to you. And so Adam DeGaudio is new. He's on day 3, and so he is joining us. And we'll be working on our military affairs and our intergovernmental service agreement portfolio, and hopefully growing and expanding that. Signals our long-standing partnership and commitment to making sure we are the best neighbor to Fort Bragg that we can be. So welcome. Looking forward to great things out of you. Already proven to have great ideas, so we're really excited about that. And one other individual who's been working with us for about a month now, I guess, almost, right? Dr. Andrew Mansell, who's in the back. He is transitioning from the military and has a lot of great experience in public safety and military experience. So he's been doing a lot of research and policy work in our office and has proven to be an exceptionally bright individual. So we're looking forward to continued great things out of him. So thank you for both of you for lending your talents to us.
Thank you. And he is a very dynamic individual. We've enjoyed having him so far. And then just one other item. I wasn't sure, Madam Clerk, there appeared to be a cake over there for some reason. I'm not sure what that's about, but I will leave that alone for now. On 3.
Let's sing happy birthday to our city manager. So we get on the count of 3, y'all. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you.
Y'all can turn it on.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Doug. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, y'all are so thoughtful. I don't know how y'all remember every year.
I'm just so thankful we have finished with the city manager's report and all that birthday pleasure that we just got finished on. So let's move right on to the approval of the agenda. So move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Just raise your right hand. That is approved. So let's get started with our items of business. 6.01, we are ready for the watershed master plan. Well, hopefully we can get it to pop up on our monitor.
Okay. Are we ready, Jennifer? Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you. I've met several of you, and welcome to our new council members. I look forward to working with all of y'all more closely. And yeah, we do have a real good report. We continue to have a lot of success and keep driving this program forward. So I hope that you will agree when we're finished with this presentation. Okay, thanks. So today we are going to be presenting Buckhead Creek and Beaver Creek 1 proposed solutions. You've seen, let's see, this is 10 out of 15 watersheds. These will be 2 more. That leaves us 3 to present to you. So we are really making a lot of progress. We keep it rolling, as our city manager just indicated. If I could just figure out how to work the system. Okay, is it just the... I always... Thank y'all for being patient with me. This happens to me every time.
Use that one.
Okay.
Nope. Now try. There you go.
Okay, great. Now we can go. So for starters, I'm going to give an overview of the watershed studies, how we're conducting them, some of the elements that we're considering in doing our evaluations, and just getting us up to speed again on what we're doing with the watershed studies. And I'll provide a summary of the proposed solutions that have been approved by council to date for entry into our capital improvements program. And this will be followed by 2 requests. We're going to present the proposed solutions for Buckhead Creek watershed. We have the gradient team here to present those proposed solutions and talk in more detail about a few of the top proposed solutions. And we will request consensus to include those proposed solutions in our CIP. And that will be followed by Arcadis. Mark Van Auken is here with Arcadis to present the proposed solutions for the Beaver Creek 1 watershed, and we will then request consensus to include those in the CIP. So if you recall, our directive in 2018 was to accelerate the stormwater CIP program through comprehensive citywide watershed studies. The catalyst was that series of extreme events. Luckily for us, we had already had a stormwater utility fee. It had been accumulating some money, and so we were able to jump into a comprehensive citywide watershed study effort. Up until that point, we had been very reactive, just doing neighborhood studies, responding to complaints, without a whole vision of what's happening across the city. So this was council's directive to look citywide and prioritize and try to spread those dollars across the city. And just so give you a perspective, it takes a while to do these studies, at least according to how we've laid out this process, and this is standard for the industry, 18 to 30 months. So it feels like it's taken a while, and it has, but we're collecting a lot of data, generating a lot of data, very defensible results in our work. The 4 primary elements of the study process: kicking off the project, identify concern areas, and develop proposed solutions. And then one thing we're doing very regularly, like today, is we're bringing proposed solutions to council for entry into the CIP as soon as possible. We don't wait until we have a final, tidy, perfect report. We'll bring that to you later. But we are very confident in our proposed solutions that we're bringing to you, and we try to get them into the CIP as soon as possible. Then, about 6 months later, this gives us time to wrap up our studies and have a sealed report. So where are we today? This figure shows in the gray the 10 of the 15 watersheds that have been completed. So I mentioned the proposed solutions that have been entered into the CIP already. Those are from the gray watersheds. We've generated over 360 proposed solutions, developed over 360 proposed solutions across those watersheds. And you can see it's not cheap. If we had $1.2 billion, we could go ahead and build them all and solve a lot of problems. And the red dots, we know you'll be interested in this, those indicate projects that are in design, construction, from the studies to date. And we have 14 currently in design, some stage of design, and 2 that have been constructed. And then the yellow, the Buckhead Creek, Beaver Creek 1, those are the ones that we're bringing to you today. And then I will be bringing Cape Fear 1, Stewart's, and Little Rockfish Creek 2, which are the green, in late 2026, with final reports in 2027. Okay, so we've been very fortunate. I just wanted to highlight our successes in finding funding. We've been getting a lot of national, international attention for our program. We've gotten state funding. We've also gotten federal funding. We are leaving no stone unturned when we're looking for money. And then, as many of you know, we were awarded the James Lee Witt Award for Excellence in Floodplain Management. And that was the first time that we had gotten this award in North Carolina in, I think it was 20 years. So we're very, very honored to get that award. To give you a little background about how we're conducting the studies, and many of you have seen these slides before, so I won't linger on them, but if you have questions, feel free to pause. I think that's okay to just pause and ask, for more detail. But basically, we had to identify where we were going to do the studies with the amount of money we had, what were we going to study, when were we going to conduct the studies, and then how were we going to do it. So there was a lot of background effort put into establishing a process, bringing our consultants on board, and doing our surveys, our asset management surveys in these high priority areas. So we started with $13 million in our fund, and we had to make that. We had to make decisions about where we would spend that money. We did high-level modeling to identify across the city where potential concern areas were. At every stage of our work, we have involved our institutional knowledge team, our streets maintenance, engineering, people who've been around for a long time, our flood complaint database. We really tried to vet our results of modeling, which is theoretical, against what's really happening in the field. And we continue to do that at multiple scales, at multiple levels of this work. The criteria we're looking at, where are roads flooded, where are emergency facilities potentially impacted with flooding, where do we have disconnected structures during an event, during a flooding event, single access neighborhoods, and then also where are we experiencing impacts to structures. So this gives you an idea of the yellow is where we landed with the amount of money we had, our highest priority areas for this round of study. So I'll give you another a view of this. When do we plan to study that? You'll see the green is where our first studies were in Little Cross Creek, Blunts Creek, Beaver Creek 3, and Cape Fear 2. And then the yellow were the next round, Cross Creek, Beaver Creek 2, and then the red are the last round of studies. So how do we study them? If we think about it, we've got a lot of things that can change at any time, right? And so that's why we've got these arrows. It's really dynamic and iterative cycles. But on the planning cycle, on the left here, we're looking at assessing the severity of the flooding within those high priority subbasins, and then identifying where we need to spend more time and money developing potential solutions. And then we feed that into a prioritization scheme and bring those to council. And then as we do our prioritization, after we do that, we identify and secure funding in the CIP cycle, we implement solutions, and then as things happen, like as we know, our federal BRIC funding was hopefully just paused, but we were on a roll with it, and then we had to step back and make some other decisions and look at other ways of funding certain projects. So bringing projects to council, we bring all of our proposed solutions to council for inclusion in the CIP. We are looking at some of our worst areas and the highest efficacy for our projects and spread that equitably across the city when we're talking about, if you hear the term top proposed solutions. So that's the distinction there. In assessing the severity of the flooding, we're looking at the highest level of service met for our assets, for our stormwater system. This is just an example, and you can see in the color, we're trying to visualize and help everybody visualize what's really happening, at least through our modeling. And you can see the red. The red is not meeting a very high level of service, maybe a 5-year event. We may experience undercapacity in those red pipes very often. And then we are looking at, we're collecting the data on these systems to understand just how bad or how severe the flooding is, and we score that flooding. We score those areas. Now, we do a deep dive in developing proposed solutions for many of the concern areas, but for the ones we don't do the deep dive, where the concern area did not score as high, maybe it was a medium or a low scoring concern area with flooding concerns, we still do a qualitative analysis of those concern areas. And we take a look while we're in there, while we're doing this work, at different potential solutions for those concern areas. We also were looking at more broad studies. We call them regional. But they cover more than just a watershed. They cross watershed boundaries. Two of those were the Downtown Riverine Flood Study Report and the citywide dam storage screening report. And the figure in the middle, the picture in the middle is a picture, y'all are probably real familiar with that, of Ray Avenue flooding with Cross Creek, which is also part of the Downtown Riverine study. So when we develop potential solutions, we look at existing conditions. We also look at a future condition. And this is a good point to keep in mind, that we know that there are a lot of future uncertainties with rainfall. We don't know what's going to happen. For this round of watershed studies, we increased the standard NOAA Atlas 14 rainfall depths by 6% to try to account for those future uncertainties. And this may change in the future. We're staying future forward thinking and making sure we're developing the right solutions for the future. And then once we develop a potential solution, we do another round of scoring, count up a lot of numbers, and see how the solution performs. And that's what we call the efficacy. So in this case, the zeros at the bottom are all good. We've basically mitigated the impacts of the existing. We've basically mitigated the impacts in this concern area with this proposed solution. So proposed solutions approved by council to date. There were 2 tranches, first and second tranche. You've seen this slide before. We've updated the cost estimate to 2025 numbers. We've got over 360 proposed solutions to date in our capital improvements plan, and that's an estimated cost of $1.2 billion with 31 square miles of study area. What we're bringing today in the yellow, Beaver Creek 1 and Buckhead Creek, is 55 proposed solutions with $219 million. So total combined, that's 419 proposed solutions, and the current total estimated cost this is rounded up. The mayor always catches me on that. So it's more like 1.419 or something. But yeah, 1.4 to $1.5 billion. So are there any questions on our process before I hand it over to the Gradient team to talk about Buckhead Creek? Proposed solutions?
First, let me welcome the mayor. The mayor, are you still on?
Yes,
Mayor?
sir.
Okay.
How's everyone?
Any questions, anybody?
I did have just a question for a great presentation. She said I always catch her up on the math, so I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
Question for you. I like this. Been on council for a little bit, and I remember when this number was 500 million, and we were like, oh my goodness. Now it's at 1.2 billion. I know we've made a lot more, have a lot better analysis of what we actually need. Will you all, in your presentation today, talk about the possibility of accelerating some of these now that you have the plan, whether it's a revenue bond? I know we've got a steady stream of revenue, and we'll be able to hold some money, but whether you have a funding strategy to help close that gap. And you don't have to answer it now. Maybe it can be toward the end.
Well, Sheila would be the best person to address that, Mayor, and she's heading to the podium right now.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So our next step after this, as you know, is $1.4 to $5 billion. Our next step after this is to move forward with what we call a watershed study strategic plan, and that's to evaluate how we're going to essentially target over the next 10, 20 years these projects. Certainly, we cannot build them all now. We don't have the funding. Some of them, as you know, we're looking at grant funding for the ones that would score really high in our grant opportunities, but then we also want to look at other areas within the city on how to get to these areas outside of simply building projects. Are there development-related enhancements that we can make? Are there street maintenance enhancements? How can we collaborate regionally? So on and so forth. And so that's going to be the next step next year, is to work on a watershed-related strategic plan. Certainly we'll be involving you all through that process. The second thing is that this modeling effort, as you know, we used as much field verified data, but we had limited data when we started the process. But as much was available, we were been talking to our street maintenance crews to understand where the problems were. But for the most part, this modeling effort is theoretical. So one of the key elements that we are doing as we're proposing projects is to field verify those projects. We go out and we field verify them before we actually move forward with the project. So based on that, some projects could change. Projects that were scored lower before could actually move up. And so we're sort of by category and a certain number of projects, we target those projects where we go out and ask when we have a storm coming in, for example. We have a staff member working with our crews as the storm comes in to dispatch crews to then understand, are these areas flooding? What does it look like, so we can field verify them and advance and move the projects along the large portfolio of projects so that we know which ones to target for going into design and construction, and also potentially grant funding. So those are the two things that we're doing to move forward with this work. And to answer your last question, we are looking at a revenue bond, but some of that also has to do with how much volume our staff can handle. We, as you know, have presented to you that we have a large number of projects that we're currently working on. So we want to manage that workload with what we can actually deliver to this council.
Well, are you finished, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Ms. Sheila.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes, sir.
I just have one follow-up for that. As you build out the strategic plan, and like she said in the previous presentation, the watershed plan is taking between 18 and 30 plus months. Question number one, how long do you anticipate the strategic plan taking before implementation is ready? And two, will it consider some of the things that came up the other day at the strategic plan where it says that we are taking in consideration the other stakeholders in their future construction, PWC, NCDOT, if they'll be digging or doing construction in certain areas, that we can make sure that we're not duplicating or overlapping?
So yes, so in terms of how long the strategic plan will take, we're asking for funding for it this upcoming fiscal year, and it would, a minimum of a year, I would think, because we've got to weed through about $1.5 billion worth of projects, and it would involve multiple departments in terms of how we could skin the cat in many ways. But to note that one of the things that we want to continue to point out that is we have not been waiting to do projects. We have over, probably, Byron can speak to this, we probably have over about $50 million worth of projects in the pipeline as we speak. That's a very large workload, and we're trying to make it through those projects. So some of the high priority projects we already have under design that we expect to actually build in the next 5 years, about $50 million. So that's point number two. And what was your third question? I don't remember. There was a third part to that. How long the strategic plan would take?
That was it. It was just making sure that as we planned it, just like we were talking about with our plans, to make sure that there was alignment with FAMPO, NCDOT, PWC, to make sure that if there's construction in an area, are we able to align, would a strategic plan consider those other strategic plans?
Absolutely, sir. Yes. So as I said, we have about $50 million, and we're putting those under consideration, and certainly would be as part of the larger plan. And the last one that I wanted to say is we're almost done. We're 90% done with the watershed studies. I know we say we have 5. We're bringing you 2 now, and the last 2 or 3 are really smaller projects that we expect. In the grand scheme of things, I would say that we're 90 to 95% done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Sheila, I want to try to piggyback off what the mayor was discussing. He was talking about future plans. I want to talk about CIP projects. And I remember us having a discussion around the Market House. Since we have approved to expand the footing around the Market House, it was my understanding it was an opportune time for us to update the stormwater underneath the Market House. So since we're running out of fundings in our build, how do we anticipate when CIP projects come up like that, where you already have to dig up the road, that we can upgrade our stormwater so we're not doing the same thing twice?
We're actually already doing that. Alicia, do you want to speak, or Byron want to speak about the efforts that we're doing with the DOT? We already meet with the DOT at least once a month to go over the projects that we have in the hopper, as well as what DOT has currently, and it's coming up in the next 10 years. And we're already collaborating with them on that. But Byron, if you want to come speak to it, or Alicia.
Byron would be a good. He's been mostly involved with DOT lately. It takes a team, Sheila.
So specific to the Market House, when you were asking, as we expand that footprint, we will be doing some minor drainage improvements there just because we'll be in the vicinity. There wasn't a lot of drainage issues around there, but because we are expanding the footprint, we have to move some of the stormwater structures. We do meet with DOT. I think we meet in person every other month, but we're in constant contact with them on collaborating on their major roadway projects. How can we kind of partner with them if we have improvements that we've identified that go above and beyond what DOT is proposing? We'll do a cost share where we'll pay the difference. We also, not just stormwater, but other CIP projects, we do work closely with PWC, whether that is where we won't resurface a road until they're done rehabbing a section of a neighborhood. So we do take in those considerations with multiple stakeholders.
So when it comes to our CIP projects, where does that funding come from? Does that come from our stormwater fund, or does it come from grants, is my question?
So our stormwater projects are funded by our stormwater enterprise funds, and then any grant funds that we receive for those stormwater projects.
Gotcha. Anybody have any other questions so far? Okay.
So Sujit Eka with Gradient is going to present the Buckhead Creek proposed solutions.
Thank you, Alicia. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members, and city staff. I'm also joined here with my colleague, Mr. Gordon Rose from Gradient, and I will be talking specifically about the Buckhead Creek watershed, and this would follow the great overview that Alicia gave of the process and how we dove into this particular watershed and identified some of those proposed solutions. So to give a frame of reference, the watershed itself, on the top end of the watershed is the Cross Creek Mall, and the bottom of the watershed is about Cumberland Road, which is the city limits. And then some of the icons in this watershed would be your Cape Fear Valley Medical Center, the hospital, is what I'll call it going forward. And then the Ireland Drive Middle School is another one. So here, like Alicia mentioned, Buckhead Creek was identified as one of the priority basins, and inside that, our modeling exercise showed that there were 16 priority 1 sub-basins, which are shown in yellow, and those black dots are actually the proposed solutions that were identified as part of this project. And this watershed is about 8.6 square miles and covers council districts, a little bit of council district 2 with Councilman Hondros, and then mainly 5 and 9 with Councilman Green and Mr. Davis. So our study identified about 64 concerned areas in this watershed, and out of that, the team selected 35 for a detailed evaluation based on a discussion with the city staff, looking, with the street maintenance folks to vet those projects before we brought them here today. And out of the 35 that were selected, we only came with 33 proposed solutions. 2 of the projects we could not come up with a good solution, or the one that could be done reasonably, right? So the benefits overall of this project for the Bucket Creek that were identified by the model is there were about 12 miles of lane that were identified as impacted, and 3 of them would be resolved. And then same thing with the road crossings, about 169 where there was some flooding observed, and 45 are now resolved. And then in terms of the structures, about 237 are resolved with different levels of services. So the overall total cost for the proposed solutions from this Bucket Creek watershed is about $156 million. And now, because there are 33 of them, we can't talk through all of them today. We selected a sample of about 3 projects to talk in detail today. And those 3 are, and the PS means proposed solution, and C is the concern area. That's a modeling terminology, but really, the PS16, the Ireland Drive and Village Drive intersection is where about Mary MacArthur Elementary School is, and on the other side is the hospital. So it's around that area. And the way these solutions are presented here, the first one can be done independently, but it'll only be beneficial if the other 2 are done. But the first one has to be done first because that's the most downstream where the flow from upper part of the road is coming down. So if that's fixed, then we go and fix the ones on the top, then the whole situation gets better. The total cost for these top 3 proposed solutions I'm talking about today is about $25 million out of the 156.
Can you say that one more time? You said you have a priority on which one needs to be done first?
Yeah, so the PS16 near the school, that should be done first because that's where the bigger pipes and culverts are under the road. So if we upgrade them, so then when we release more water from the hospital side or the upstream side, that water can pass through that culvert easily versus going up and doing those first.
Do we get that priority list with every watershed study that we receive on which needs to be done first?
We give a top proposed solutions.
I'm get you.
Yeah, it's a good question. We do give top proposed solutions, and in this case with Buckhead, the prioritization he's talking about is within this group of 3, one has to get built
Gotcha.
before the other 2.
Okay.
Could be, before we could pass the flow from the other 2. Sheila mentioned that the strategic plan, and we're going to be looking at our prioritization scheme. Right now, we have a big spreadsheet, and we are looking at the worst concern areas, the highest efficacy proposed solutions, and also going back to our streets maintenance and other institutional knowledge, flooding complaint database to try to make sure, and field verifying to make sure that we're presenting the absolute worst flooding the best proposed solutions for the worst areas that we can. But that's all dependent on availability of funding and, the uncertainties of, or the availability, the options that we might have for funding, which is why we ask for all the proposed solutions to be part of the CIP. And as part of the strategic plan, we'll be refining that decision support tool even more.
Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you also thus far. I guess before I get too involved with my questions, remind me, how did we come up to prioritize the listing that we have now? Remind me how we got there, because I brought some things up over the course of years, and they seem like they never make the list. I mean, my Stewart's Creek area is, but I've just wondered because we don't need much water, just rain that floods Helen Street and Cornbow, the Murchison Road, Washington Drive, back to Rowan. Don't take much but a consistent flood. It doesn't have to be a storm. And over there in the Helen Street area, I have brought up on a number of occasions, I was happy to hear that whenever we're digging up, and if that's how it happens, please tell me, Ms. Sheila, make sure I heard correctly, that there are some stormwater improvements when you're digging up. Now, I don't know if you mean that where all the places that you go that we're doing some work. For example, whenever we put the sidewalks in at Helen Street and Stansfield area on the second phase, there was some stormwater improvements over there, whatever it was. So did I bundle them all up together? Do you remember? You got it.
Well, I think that I can certainly speak to how we came up with the prioritization, and that's been sort of brought to this council at every session, which
Yes,
is, you
ma'am.
know, the flooded roads are the priority. One-way in and out accesses as it relates to the flooded roads is a high priority. Proximity to a emergency facility, be it a school, be it a police, fire station, all of these factors elevate to highest priority projects or priority areas. The focus, as you know, has always been in the right-of-way, flooding in the public right-of-way. So the projects have evolved through that process. Regarding the Helen Street project, I'm going to call Byron because I know he knows a specific answer related to that. The question is, was that area already identified in an area that was problematic and we have a concern area and problems priority solution for? And then if Byron, if you could speak, I know you have the response to that specific area. Does that?
Yes, ma'am. Well, you somewhat kind of touched it, but still, when you say you're looking at these, I don't know if you said emergency places, but when I look, for example, we just spent $7.5 billion over at the Health East at Washington Drive and Murchison Road, and that's a serious flooding area. That water floods deeply over there, but I still haven't seen any major improvements for that. I mean, I know we Mirandaized, if that's the correct word, for the creek bed some years ago, but it really didn't help a lot. So I just always wonder, I just wonder how we come up with, I mean, what has to happen for people? Well, I know we don't have enough money because I just heard, what, $1 billion?
I think-
So I know we don't have the money. I guess I'm just complaining for the residents because I've been complaining for them for so long.
Right. And yeah, and I think, as I said, as part of this modeling effort, we evaluate how much of the roadway length, the roadway depth is flooding. We then also use field verification. So we don't just rely on that entirely. We want to make sure that we've put staff out there to understand the flooding length and the depth of flooding. And then once we do the project, we evaluate, post that project, how much less flooding you're going to have. So those are the broad steps that we use to determine it, because you've got to remember that and we evaluate. The beauty of the study and the whole program is that we've been able to evaluate the whole city, and by that we've been able to have comparisons with, oh, this roadway floods by a mile versus another one floods by 20 feet.
So economics is not a part of it, of your study, is it?
Some, well, you mean,
If I can too, Mr. Hare, that's the beauty of you growing up on Murchison Road corridor. We're talking about field visits and site visits. We literally, if we talked about it before, you can go around Murchison Road and Broadale, as many residents can who've lived over there a long time, and tell us where there are problems and issues. We have done a lot of work taking out houses that have flooded on like Blue Street. We have done a lot of work, and I don't know if we can the buyout program for that commercial structure that flooded right there near MLK Park. So not only are we trying to make sure that we are removing obstructions, trying to make sure that people who have flooding and drainage issues, have drainage issues on their property, commercial properties, they don't exacerbate the drainage issues downstream. So they have to, all of the stormwater control measures that we do all tie in. But clearly there are some areas like the one that you're talking about where the topography and the nature of where water goes and wants to go, even in the slightest of a rainstorm, will be seen and felt. And so we've tried to pull out those residents out of there. And I don't know that we would ever be successful for an area that literally is against a blue line stream. But what we've tried to do is, again, try to remove where we could not do projects to reduce structural flooding, roadway flooding. We've tried to also make sure that we remove people from those areas where it can be exacerbated. We had one over on Tryon Drive, you may recall, around the corner from us, where
Yes, sir.
we despite our best efforts to make a fix, it was more cost effective for us to actually buy that house out. And so those are all the issues that we have. And really, Dr. Hare could almost get up and give this because he's heard this in a lot of the programs and stuff like that. But we do hear you, and I do think that y'all are following up on those concerns. And I think just some of the ones around Blue Street and Washington Drive, I think, are evidence of some of that, sir.
Thank you, sir. And whoever it was, I don't know if it was Brian, but I would like to hear a little bit more in depth on what you did in the Helen Street Stansfield area, because I was kind of concerned about that.
Yeah.
What was done? 'Cause I know something was done.
There was a sidewalk project
Yes, sir.
that was done on Helen Street. It was completed last year. As part of that sidewalk, it was a strip paved road that you had roadside swales on.
Yes,
So
sir.
we did put some drainage improvements as part of that sidewalk project because you had to put drainage improvements so that you could build the sidewalk.
What does that mean?
Well, so you have strip paved road, then you had a ditch. So you had to build sidewalks, so you had to either had to move the ditch or you had to put some stormwater control measures, pipes, regrading of the ditches so that you could install that sidewalk. If not, you would be installing the sidewalk in
And
people's
Byron,
yards.
I think you mean by strip paving, you mean a road without curb and gutter.
Correct, yeah. So
I understood.
you have a ditch, you have to put curb and gutter, or if not, those people would have had sidewalk literally probably very close to their front doors. So as part of that sidewalk project, we did go through and regrade some of those roadside ditches to give them more capacity. We cleaned out some culverts. We also put in some pipes, some flumes, so that the water can be collected in the road and moved on downstream. What is difficult in the Helen Street Stansfield area is it's very flat. It's very flat. A lot of the drainage issues you have in that area were not necessarily associated with the right-of-way, but you have just flat area where water is sitting in people's yards. So what we did is we tried to make it such that we could collect, manage what was being discharged out of the roadway, collected in those roadside ditches, and conveyed on downstream, and then the sidewalk was put on.
Thank you. Thank you, Walt. Thank
And
you.
to speak to the other area you were talking about, as far as going up to Washington Drive, the city's doing the Cross Creek study right now to see if there are modifications to the creek. If that is a viable project and you can do something there, that would have an impact on the area you were talking about here near Washington Drive.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Any other questions before we proceed? Go ahead.
All right, so we're going to try to look at each of these projects a little bit more in detail. So this slide here shows on the left is the existing conditions, modeling results on the side. On the right side is the proposed future that was modeled, and how any of these improvements with the pipe capacity expansion or adding a bypass and things like that would help. And so this one has multiple pipes that run along Sandra Drive and Village Drive, and we are proposing here to upgrade the pipes along Village and then also under the intersection of Ireland and Village. So there are two big culverts that are being proposed and a bypass system to take on some of the flow. And the reason this project is again proposed first is so that it's ready to take on any additional water that comes from the top side of the street. And we're going to move east from here towards the hospital as the next project. So the estimated cost for this particular pipe upgrade and adding the bypass system is about 3.6 million, and it reduces the impact to one structure, and that is shown in green. If you would see right where the Sandra Drive label is under there, and then in the future conditions, that green color goes away. So this is the second project moving east towards the hospital. And again, here the flooding, there's a street flooding, and then there's some flooding in the parking lot also that's shown at the Cape Fear Education Center, the daycare near the hospital. And here again, we are proposing some inlet additions as well as a increase in the capacity of the pipes to sizable, about 42 inches to 84, so that's pretty big capacity expansion for the pipes. And the cost of these projects here is estimated about $14.7 million, and this helps with the level of service improvement at one structure and some of the medical center buildings, as well as just the street flooding. And then the last project in this sequence is at the hospital itself. And here, again, we're proposing, as you can see, the color goes from red to green from existing to proposed, showing that there's a benefit to the flooding level of services. And again, the proposed solution here is to expand the capacity of the pipes to accommodate more water. But then we've already done the project downstream, so when there's more water here that gets into the pipes and it goes down, it has a way to get out there and doesn't flood downstream. Hence the sequence is proposed. And I think the cost here is about 6.6 million, and that is all I had on the proposed solutions, the sample that we're presenting here today. And with that, I'll hand it back to Alicia.
Thanks, Sujit. So here's the ask. Do we have any more questions on the proposed solutions that he just went through?
Councilman Hondros?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I move that we provide consensus to approve 33 proposed solutions from the Buckhead Creek Watershed Study to enable staff to program them into the annual CIP prioritization process and pursue grants applicable.
Second, sir.
Second by Councilmember Hare. Let's use our sure system to vote.
I did, sir.
Mr. Mayor? Second. Okay. Okay, we are 9, so we are unanimous.
And if I may, Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to thank staff and Gradient. This has been Watershed since 2018. I think I joined SWAB in 2019. I feel like a proud papa with the city being my bride. The city's finally about to have a baby. We're about to finish the Watershed Study. So good job. Keep up the good work, and I appreciate it.
But we still have one more to go, and that's Beaver Creek, so.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sujit. So the next watershed we're going to talk about or present proposed solutions is Beaver Creek 1, and it's Mark Van Auken with Arcadis.
Thanks, Alicia. And before I get started, I just want to mention, following up on what she just said, people are taking notice, and Alicia had mentioned that as well. I was just in Charleston, South Carolina on Wednesday, and someone actually approached me when I mentioned I was from North Carolina, and we were talking about capital improvements, watershed work going on, and they said, well, have you heard about Fayetteville and the master planning work or watershed master planning work that they're doing there? So that's the first time I can say, even though I try to promote this work everywhere I go, that's the first time someone's approached me and asked me about it. So just wanted you to know that you all are doing a great thing here with the work that you have going on.
Thank you, sir.
So, you're more than welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. Good to see you again. So Mark Van Auken with Arcadis. And so we've been working with the city on Beaver Creek 1, watershed that's a little bit northwest of downtown. bordered kind of by 295 and the All-American Freeway, and then kind of southwest from there. 22.6 square miles for that area. We had 69, at least initial concern areas, of which 22 moved to proposed solutions. I love talking about stormwater, but I know it's Friday afternoon, so I'll try to work through this pretty quickly. I think just touch upon the important things. For Beaver Creek 1, I would say that in terms of the efficacy of the projects, the fact that they're really being effective, the miles of impacted lane length, the traverse road crossings, and the disconnected dwellings were significantly reduced across all of our proposed solutions. So really everything that we looked at was very effective in mitigating a lot of the flooding in the area. And so of all the projects we had, those 22 proposed solutions, the total cost for those in today's or last year's dollars was $63.4 million. So I'm going to step you quickly through. We had 5 different proposed solutions that we were the highest priority that we looked at. And I'll step through those here real quickly. They vary. The first 2 really are focused on riverine improvements, pretty much culvert replacements, which is a good variety. There can be fairly low-cost solutions to solving problems, and the last 3 are more of the storm sewer upsizing type ones that are providing additional capacity. So the first project was proposed solution number 4, the Cottonade Creek culvert. It's on Short Ridge Road. If you look at the inundation maps, and usually you can see, looking at the existing conditions and proposed future, you can see a lot of difference. On this one, if you look at them, you'd say, Mark, I don't see any difference between these 2 drawings. Well, the primary focus of this project was a culvert replacement that was undersized. And so by upsizing that culvert, we're actually eliminating one of the traverse road crossings. But the most important thing, and I know it was pointed out earlier, that a lot of the focus of the work that we've been doing is trying to eliminate single ingress-egress issues, that if a culvert washes out, they have no ability to get out of there, emergency vehicles to get in. This is the situation for the Culvert Creek replacement. There's 36 structures that are in the area that's kind of in the upper right of this photo, that if that culvert washes out or the roadway is flooded, that they have no way of being able to get out of the neighborhood. So this is one of the ones that we thought was important, and it's actually, compared to a lot of the projects we look at, less than $1 million. It's a project that we highly recommend moving forward. It was the highest scoring one that we had within BV1. So definitely a project that we recommend. Freeport Culvert was an interesting one. It was actually brought to us by the public and by the city staff of being the flooding on Freeport Road. For this one, we have a culvert replacement. We also have a roadway elevation as part of this as well, just to try to raise it up so it doesn't flood. So that's the reason this one is a little bit more costly. It's $2.4 million because and there's a lot of stream restoration work we do. But if you look at this one on the drawing between the existing conditions and the proposed, you can see significant flood reduction with this one with the proposed improvements.
Mark, can I stop and ask you a
certainly.
question real quick?
My pleasure.
Because you said it twice, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yes.
Most of these improvements, do they just require culvert replacement, or do they require tearing down and adding additional culverts?
It can be a little bit of both. It depends on what capacity we have to get. Because when we're talking about culvert replacement, yeah, we are likely looking at, if we're increasing the capacity, we could be adding, it could be switching from a single culvert to a dual culvert underneath it. We could have a box culvert, anything that's required to be able to provide additional flow through. And usually we'll have some stream-related improvements that we might need to do on either side of the culvert. Or in the case of Freeport Road, we actually have to go in and we have money budgeted for raising that roadway a little bit, because even with the culvert replacements, it would still be a sag in the road where we'd have a little bit of flooding. And that was the main issue, or one of the main issues with this project, is it's one that makes it impassable when we get any type of storm event.
And that was my thought. I would think some of these, according to the dollar figure that you have, would mean that you would have to redirect some water somewhere to mitigate some of the flooding somewhere else.
Well, for this one, it will still flow through the same area. We're just able to increase the capacity where it eliminates the bottleneck that exists right now, which is causing a lot of that flooding. But that's a very good point, because we do have a lot of variety, and when we're looking at making these improvements that we go through as part of that process ourselves, and Gradient and the other consultants that are working on these projects.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Moving into the next project, we actually have proposed solutions 7 and 8 that are part of a proposed solution package. We have them included as two separate projects here because they can be done independently of each other, but we were recommending that they be done at the same time. These projects are located along Yadkin Road, and this is, let's see, this is proposed solution 8, which is about 8.5 million, which includes some significant upsizing of the existing infrastructure there. And if I move to proposed solution 7, with the dark black line here, that again, it's another kind of neighborhood improvement type 1, which is more focused on the secondary or the storm sewer collection system, and that one's 4.7 million. So a little bit more expensive, but addresses a big issue, which eliminates impacts to structures, a traverse road crossing, and a fairly, half a mile of impacted lane length along Yadkin. And the fifth one, the final one, is a proposed solution package that includes proposed solutions 15 and 16 together, 3.9 million. This is along Bragg Boulevard, and it's an area that looks at collection system improvements. Just really a lot of undersized. On the west side, it's putting in a channelized and a storm sewer system where it's just kind of overland, a ditch type flow right now, and kind of rechannelizing that to eliminate some of the flooding. But this one, again, it eliminates 15 impacts from floods from 15 structures, as well as the traverse road crossing there on Bragg Boulevard. And that one's 3.9 million. And I'm going to turn things over to Alicia.
So are there any questions for us on the BV1 proposed solutions?
Pro Tem.
Councilmember Alejandros.
I move that council provides consensus to approve the 22 proposed solutions from the Beaver Creek 1 watershed study to enable staff to program them into the annual CIP prioritization process and pursue grants as applicable.
Second by Councilmember Jones. Let's use our share systems to vote. Missing one? Councilmember McNair. Mr. Mayor, are you online? He's still offline. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the presentation.
Yeah. Thank y'all. Thank you for the opportunity again. Look forward to getting through the rest of them.
Next, we have item 6.02, conflict of interest questionnaire.
Is it? Oh, is that my bad? Yours is that one. Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Mayor, hopefully he'll be on soon because this is actually his item. So my name, again, for those of you that don't know me, is Rose Rasmussen. I'm the Internal Audit Director here for the City of Fayetteville. And so this is, as I said, an item that the mayor input into the City Council agenda item request back in November of 2025. And his original request was to approve the disclosure of mayor and council's annual conflict of interest forms for the years of 24 and 25. However, the action that was voted on by council was to have staff come back with best practices for consistent process with the unified form for the annual conflict of interest questionnaires, to make the forms available and easily accessible like the state forms. So, I looked into this and did some of my own research, and basically what I have determined is, so the current city questionnaires that you have to complete every year. They comply with our city ordinance. The most common disclosure format among our peers are written conflict of interest disclosures that require ink signatures. The disclosures most commonly are submitted to the clerk, whether that's the city clerk, town clerk, or clerk to the board, depending on what is applicable for that municipality. The forms are made available for copying and inspection to the public, and all they have to do is request that, and it's usually made available to them during normal business hours. So no internal audit peers obtain questionnaires and conduct an annual conflict of interest review like the city of Fayetteville does. The state form, which the mayor had referred to in his, when he brought this up in the council meeting, the state forms cannot be substituted for the current city's questionnaire. I'm going to tell you what our recommendations are, and then I'm going to walk you through why I'm making the recommendations that I'm making. So what I recommend is mayor and council use the current fillable PDF version of the conflict of interest questionnaire. You use the printed form with the wet ink signature, and it should be made available to public during normal business hours, or city mayor and council, you could make them available on our transparency webpage on the City of Fayetteville website. So city staff is also required to complete this form, a sample of city staff and senior management team. And I'm not recommending any change to what we're doing for theirs. And I am recommending that we continue for theirs to use the Microsoft form, which is an electronic way for them to submit it, or PDF fillable, whichever they prefer. So let me just remind you what our City Code of Ethics says. The City Code of Ethics requires all elected officials, member of city senior management team, and a random sample of city employees to complete the annual conflict of interest form each year. Since fiscal year 2018, Internal Audit Office has requested and reviewed these completed forms. Let me give you a little timeline of what that looks like since 2018. So in 2018, the very first year we did that, we did these conflict of interest forms. We provided a PDF form. It had to be printed and then completed in wet ink, and then submitted. The original copy was then either mailed back to internal audit or hand carried to the internal audit office. So it was very paper process. Fiscal year 2019 through fiscal year 22, we made available a PDF fillable form. So you could either complete the PDF fillable form, or you could, again, as you had in the previous year, go ahead, print it out, fill it out, sign it. And with the fillable form, we also gave mayor, council, and the city employees the option to go ahead and email it back to us or hand carry the original back to us. In fiscal year 23 and 24, we also, again, did the PDF fillable form, but then we also tried out Microsoft Form version. So Microsoft Forms, it's an electronic version. Just so you know, for those of you who completed it that way, in order to complete that form, you actually had to sign into your city Microsoft account, fill the form. That's how I knew when it came to me who it came from, because you actually had to sign into your city Microsoft account. So you signed into your Microsoft account, you filled out the form, you submitted it, it came to me. Microsoft Forms stored it in Excel version, which for internal audit, that is great because we live in Excel. So what that meant for us is in all previous years, when the forms came to us for us to do our annual conflict of interest review, we actually took the information that we needed off of those forms and keyed them into an Excel spreadsheet. Using the Microsoft Forms version, it already put it into Excel for us, so we didn't have to do duplicate work. So that was just the, and plus, every year when we had the printed versions, there's these documents that we still have to maintain. So we have file cabinets of documents. The electronic version, we didn't have to maintain those paper documents. So those are just the advantages of trying to move to an electronic version. So in 2022, Internal Audit was looking to update the paper forms. We were looking to update the questions on the questionnaire. And so we reached out to peer internal audit offices. Additionally, when this came from the mayor as an action item, we did a little bit of research into what other municipalities do as well. And so basically what we saw from our research is that the most common format for a mayor and council or a board disclosure form is going to be a written form with a wet signature. They're typically submitted to the clerk. They're available for inspection and copying during normal business hours. And again, like I stated previously, our internal audit peers did not obtain questionnaires or conduct an annual conflict of interest review. So it just must be, I'm trying to make it clear to you that City of Fayetteville, we really were the best practice at that time when we conducted our peer review. So let's talk a little bit about the state form that the mayor referred to. So the State Ethics Commission, according to their website, the annual filing of these forms is required for persons subject to State Government Ethics Act. So it should be noted that not all mayor and City of Fayetteville council members are required to complete that form every year. Only certain members who sit on some of those boards are required to fill those out. The State Ethics Commission actually gives the option of registering with their online portal and submitting it electronically, or you could print out the form and complete it manually. The state form versus the city form. So let me talk about that a little bit. The main difference between the state ethics form that the mayor was referring to and the city form is the state form talks about conflicts with the state. Our city questionnaire talks about conflicts with the city. We, City of Fayetteville, are not interested in the conflicts with the state. We are interested in the conflicts here within the City of Fayetteville. And then, as I said, not all City of Fayetteville elected officials are required to complete the state form. And just other things that we use to complete our annual review every year. Home address, which is not available to the public and so not available on the state's forms that I could get off their state website. State limits disclosures to household members. However, our City of Fayetteville conflict of interest questionnaires currently don't limit to just your household members. And state requires additional information that we don't internal audit use to conduct our annual conflict of interest review. They could be things that you want to make transparent to the public, and that, of course, that is your will. I just should be noted in my research on this that the city of Charlotte it appears that the city of Charlotte took the state form and really adapted it to meet their own purposes. But they, like us, recognize that you can't just use the state form because the state form talks about state conflicts. Their form talks about conflicts with their city. Just so you know, we did reach out to the UNC School of Government. If you're a real big proponent and like to get their opinion, and they basically just came back and said state law does not mandate the format or process for these annual disclosures. And they provided their own template that they had mocked up, and that template closely resembles our current questionnaire. So I'm going to go back to a slide I went through earlier. So recommended actions. I would still recommend that mayor and council use the current fillable PDF version, print the form with the wet signature, make them available to public during normal business hours, or if you so choose, have them available on the transparency the City of Fayetteville transparency webpage. And for city staff who have to complete this every year, I am recommending no change. I would prefer if we could maintain theirs still in the electronic Microsoft form version because it does make our jobs easier.
Questions? I see none, but I do have one.
Yes, sir.
You talked about the SEI and the
Yes,
questions that's on their questionnaire. Is there any questions on their questionnaires that resemble or should resemble questions that's on our questionnaire?
Yes. There are questions that resemble our questionnaire. So for example, their questionnaire talks about your basic information, your name. It talks about...
I'm specifically talking about when it talks about economic interest.
So their questions are different related to that. For example, like I said, I don't know if there's somewhere specifically you're going, so you're going to have to lead me there if there is.
I'm just going by the information you gave me.
But
I'm just taking notes, that's all.
if you think about the state form, it's asking about any contracts with the state of North Carolina. The City of Fayetteville questionnaire that we currently send out asks for any contracts with the City of Fayetteville.
That's all I wanted to know, because I'm pretty sure most council members here do not remember what's on their questionnaire. I surely don't remember what's on mine. I don't. Councilmember Davis.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Do I need to accept this report, or, because I don't know what this was.
We need to decide that whether we're going to make no changes or give staff no direction.
Okay, so I move to continue with the current fillable PDF City of Fayetteville Annual Conflict of Interest Questionnaire for Mayor and Council, requiring a printed form with a wet signature, which meets the city's Code of Ordinance requirements.
Is that a second by McMillan?
No, I had a question.
Can I get a second to the motion? Second by Councilmember Jones. Question on the motion?
Yeah.
Ms.
Just
McMillan.
appreciate the information and the in-depth study. Rose, I was wondering if, in looking at the options, if y'all identified some pros and cons of posting these disclosures on the transparency website, and if you did, if you could share those with us.
No, I didn't identify any pros and cons. Obviously, that transparency piece, that's something you guys deal with on a daily basis. That's something that we talk about all the time, about being transparent. And so, that really, ultimately, we would like to be a transparent city. We've tried to be a transparent city, but how transparent we are, because this is your information that is going to be made more or less transparent. And so that is at the will of you.
And if I could just add a comment, I appreciate that. this is another opportunity we have to move forward in our efforts to be transparent. And I would recommend that we amend this to include posting this on the transparency website.
Posting it on the,
City of Fayetteville transparency website, or posting it online.
I don't think we can post it online.
You can,
We can?
yes. They're not public record. The information in them are not public record.
So what would it be, who lets to
Yeah.
post it online?
I'm sorry.
So why would we post it?
I mean, did I say that backwards? They are public record. I'm sorry.
So they can also ask to request it if they want
Right.
to see it. We don't
That's
have to put it
correct.
online.
Yes,
That's what I thought.
correct.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I want David to support that if there's going to be an amendment, just due to the fact of what was just stated. If that's something that someone would like to do a public request on, which we've had that done in the past, then they still have that obligation. Or they still have that right to do that, but to publicly put it out there. Because just as stated, it is your personal, it's your personal information. If I could just share this with council members, I was on my web page, my profile page, for example, I was using a lot of my personal information up, and I changed it this year just due to the fact of some unfortunate things that happened because that information was there. If someone calls in and wants to get with a representative that they can do it there. So I'm just saying sometimes needs to be a little bit of protection there just due to the type of world that we live in. And if it is requested, then that's different. It's still, they can get it. So that's why I stand where I do.
Well, it's been moved and properly second. Are you willing to amend your motion?
I'm not going to amend my motion, but you can make a separate motion after the motion that's already on the floor. But I'm not going to take a friendly amendment.
So are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Let's vote. Mr. Mayor, are you online? That carries 9-0 to carry on.
No, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Just like to make a motion to, in full transparency, also make the results of these conflict of interest disclosure forms available to the public via our website.
There is no second, so that does not carry. So let's move on to item 6.04. As you were, 6.03, Blue Street renovations.
I think somebody gonna like it. This is the person that was asking for the 20.
He's in the back. Get ready. Mr. Yates?
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and Mayor Online. Excuse me. What we have for you tonight or today is just kind of a quick update on the Blue Street Senior Center renovations. It was very apropos. We were having the conversation on Wednesday to talk about maximizing our existing resources. I'll let John come and talk about operations in just a moment. But one of our strategies is to maximize city-owned property and to get out of our rental space. So we are actively working to get ourselves out of Festival Park Plaza, where John and his staff currently are. And part of that is things like the Fast Center build-out, where we are going to move a city department and renovation at Blue Street as the most economical way to save on the rent and make most of those facilities that we have. So what we have in front of you today is the floor plan. You can see there for the pretty much interior renovations and systems at the Blue Street, the upper building. We're working through consideration of how we use the lower building and minor renovations on the parking lot. But we're happy to answer any questions. It's about 6,000 square feet in the upper building and about 3 in the lower building, give or take. And we expect that renovation to cost about $800,000 when it's all said and done. The status is we are contracting for the design work almost finished with that, and as soon as we have construction drawings, we'll take those out to market and get a bid on the actual work. So, John, did you have anything you want to add?
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor Pro Tem, City Manager, City Attorney, City Clerk. My name is John Jones, Director for the Office of Community Safety. Thank you, ACM Yates, for your support on this. As you all know, I stepped into the role on June 23rd, and since then we have done very hard and diligent, successful work. Thank you, sir, for that in our 7 months, and you all provided the community an opportunity for a department to focus on 4 main pillars. And as an office, we are now have a stronger foundation. We have plans, we have programs we want to push out. And with that, we'll need to expand not only in staffing, but also have a space that we could bring community in. And with Blue Street, where it's located, the 2 buildings already present, and just the work that we look to do when it comes to our 4 pillars, this space is essential for us. But also it will be a place that we can say we work with community. This will be an opportunity for community to utilize that space as well. And then as an Office of Community Safety, that's one of the main reasons why this is the perfect opportunity for us to move forward as we expand with our 20+ jobs, as Mr. Harris stated. And I'll answer any questions you may have as well.
Any questions? Councilmember first.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Question is, is it currently a part of the MLK Park? It's not a part of it at all. I mean, I know that's where they meet and have been meeting for a long time, about 30 years.
Turn the mic on.
The upper part of the building, the old Blue Street Center, is not part of the MLK pathway. The back half of the parking lot and the green space along Little Cross Creek is the part that still is in the linear park area, not linear park, but the linear acreage for the MLK Park. And they still will have? They're meeting at Senior Citizen East. So they'll always have a place to meet.
Now, I was just wondering if that was part of the park, and you're saying it's not.
No, sir. It's never been a part of the park.
Okay.
If you understand where Blue Street and Washington Drive is, as you turn the corner to go across the creek, the right-hand side of that green space is part of that linear environment for the MLK Park. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I know they don't meet there anymore, but I was just wondering.
No, they're good. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay, I think that was it.
Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I believe I just need to receive the support. Is that correct, Mr. Manager?
Yes, but let me make a comment before you make that motion, Councilmember. Council, I think it's important that we understand what I've been preaching all along since I've been on council, is we need to start owning and stop renting. I don't believe that renting will get us anywhere. Currently, they are renting their location in Festival Park. I don't know what floor they're on, but we need to eventually move ourselves out of renting that property. I'm pretty sure we still have ECD over there, and we still have Marcom over there. So eventually, we need to branch out to own so we can stop giving our money away. And some of that money we could probably use to fulfill some of the things that he needs in his budget instead of using his budget money for the renovations of Blue Street. So I just wanted to put that in there. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. I move to receive this update from the
is there a
City
second?
Manager.
Councilmember Harris. Let's get ready for the vote. Discussion on the motion?
Just one thing, sir, just to make sure that we're not just only receiving the report, but we're also receiving the report that to accept the $800,000 renovation project too, right?
That is correct.
Well, that's the number one thing. Okay, thank you.
I just want to comment on your comments, sir. So, yes, but just want to be cognizant that there's no such thing as government funded or government owned. It's taxpayer funded or taxpayer owned. So sometimes leasing's cheaper than owning.
Let's make sure we read the motion to make sure we are clear. And it is the estimate of $800,000 renovation budget is planned to come from the fiscal year 26 operation budget allocated for OCS. This funding was appropriated by the city and OCS funds.
So it's coming out of their budget already?
That's correct.
There's no extra funding?
That is correct.
Yes, sir.
And that is properly second. Are we ready for the vote?
Doesn't include employees.
Asking for your vote, council. That motion carries. Now let's move on to item 6.04, Grenville Lake.
Okay, I got it on record. Am I on record? You want me to say it again? Okay. Yes, sir, I will. Council, this has been a project that has had tremendous support. It's a project that we as a department believe it adds to our walkability for the master plan. Council adopted it probably about 2.5 years ago now. Was that 3? Okay. All right. So here we are. This was what was proposed. We had an extensive conversation with the community, extensive conversation with the city staff and elected officials. We had a bunch of what we thought would make sense and how we got to where we are now. So I just wanted to make sure that we just refreshed the memory so everybody can sort of get a sort of a locale of what we're talking about. And you can see Glenville Lake in itself and how on the western side there's a trail already and how we plan to give access to the eastern side of that lake. You can see the connectivity from the Masrick Park for neighborhoods, FSU, seniors, downtown, the Murchison Road corridor. Just to familiarize yourself again. Here's where the park would start. This is Mary McDonald Park. Here's how that connectivity would start. Just want to give a shout out to Chris Calla and his group for providing funds for a new playground out at Mary McDonald Park that is being heavily used. So thank you again for that. But this is where we would start the park. This would be where its neighborhood entry would be for Glenville Lake Trail. Here's how it looks from an aerial view and how that connectivity. One of the best things that happened with this and having a conversation with FAMPO and some of the federal funding that's going to go toward developing this trail is that it's connectivity for people to use it for mass transit with our transit center, the walkability with the sidewalks and how it connects into some of the other trails that we're working on now that give people access to downtown and our linear park environment throughout the city. So it works well. It gives people an opportunity to be connected.
Mayor Pro Tem, quick question.
Councilmember Hondros.
Can you go back 2 slides, Director Gibson? Maybe 3. Yeah, that one. So the pink line is the trail, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I think it says 87, but I think it's actually 210 on the right side. That's Murchison Road, right?
Yes, sir.
So the kind of 90-degree angles there, where you're coming off Murchison Road, then you make a 90-degree right, and you make a 90-degree left and a 90-degree right and a 90-degree
Mhm.
left. Presumably that's jagged like that because of property lines, I'm guessing?
Well, what it does is what I was just now saying. It allows people to still have mass transit connection. It was one of the criterias in using this funding,
Right.
that it still connected people to mass transit, where you could catch a bus, you could be on a trail, and it connected you into, and you'll see on here when we get to a couple other slides, it gets you into the network on Murchison Road by the Fayetteville State, the new Chick-fil-A on that corner. So there's going to be a connectivity piece where the African American Heritage Trail grabs it, or it can get onto that. So that was a big point scoring when we went toward FAMPO to get into this.
But that's connecting it to Murchison Road. Like,
Yes, sir.
once you have that connectivity.
Yes, sir.
But I'm saying specifically that design is that those jagged steps, that's private property boundary lines, I'm guessing, right? That's why we're not,
Straight line, you mean?
well, it's the 90-degree angles. You're turning corners right there, right?
No. Well, it allows you, because right there where you see the number 1 at, when you're going down, that's the backside of the housing area where the kids stay from Fayetteville State. And then there's a road right there that dead ends. We're going to come up on that road, and then we're back out on Coley.
Right, but I guess my main question is that next. So you got 2 number 1s and a number 2, but that number 1 that's up by the number 3, closer to the bridge, does it need to stay on that road, or can it just be a straight line in that green space?
Oh, and come back up on the backside? Yeah, we could do
Can
that.
it just go straight?
Yeah,
through?
I understand it. Yeah, we could do that. Now, there's a sewer line that goes down there, that goes into that. Once you get behind it where the kids stay at, and you come down, we just thought it would be more advantageous to give that connectivity for people to have it. That'll be on the streets if they wanted to, and then catch buses and transportation. But it could.
Could it be both?
Yes, sir, it could.
Just curious. Thank you.
Even if you went direct line from 1 to 1, you would be able to do both to have that connectivity?
Yes, sir, we could.
Okay.
And I didn't bring my pen up here, so I'm going to write that down.
It's a good question. Any other questions before we move forward? Mr. Gibson?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
The same thing, that's the area view. Now, here are some of the, from an architectural standpoint, on how you navigate through the different environments from Mary McDonald to the next slide. But you'd have a tremendous boardwalk, so you would still not degrade the environment. We would try to blend in with a nice boardwalk, scenic. There's a nice picture of them putting them birds in there. And then the back side of that, you could see the lake. And then you would see some of it would be asphalt trails. And then you would have the nice overlook so that you could sit there and overlook the lake. Here is what that on-street look would look like on Coley. Pedestrian safety, adding that value. So you have that walkability where the kids could connect in from Fayetteville State. And any revitalization that would take place in those areas, we would then blend that in and still have that walkability and bikeability in those areas. Here is some of the challenges that we would have. There's currently a fencing environment that's protecting the waterways from where PWC. So that's a challenge that we're going to be having conversations, trying to be good neighbors, work out some kind of viability with the 2 existing environments there, walkability and water quality, and come to some resolution.
Can you expound on that a little bit more?
Well, there is the way that the fencing is set up. The fencing is set up in this area to protect the waterways. There should be a compromise to allow walkability for this trail, and somehow make those two things complement each other. Was that enough, Danson?
For right now, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So tell us, if you could, before I would like to move on a motion, Mayor Pro Tem, where are we with, now this is what our site configurations, where are we with, putting boots on the ground, and how far off are we to getting things started?
Well, right now is where our architects are. They believe they have the best route that gives the community the best access, and help them enjoy what the lake is about.
Yeah, yeah.
The challenge is then finding that compromise. And once you find that compromise, then you can say, complete the construction drawings. Once that's completed, then we build it.
Is there, and I know we're going to get that get that compromise worked out, so I don't have an issue with that. If I could just share with council, I was able to bring this to the city and the sitting council at that time because it's so dear to me. I remember exactly, it was April 2021. And we worked and worked and worked and worked because the citizens on that side of Masoret Park, those of you that frequent Masoret Park, there's not a connection or any access to the park from a very, very close neighbor unless you get in your vehicle and drive there. But the council at the time, and I hope that we still, the council where we are now, supported me bringing that, and together collectively we supported it. The thing was just getting funding. And it's so dear to me, once again, that I wouldn't support the budget back at that time until this was in there. And I'm honored that the council, Councilmember Hondros and you all supported it. We only received about $300,000 at that time, but soon after that, you're supporting those of you that sat on the FAMPO committee found us, 1.3 million?
1.6.
$1.6 million for the project. So we're doing very good. It's moved very, very fast. The residents over there are just very, very happy. Just imagine what that's going to do for that community over there and the surrounding communities in that area. So if I could, Mayor, I would like, Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to move forward.
Hold off 1 second. Let me get these other questions out the way first. Councilmember Jones.
Oh, okay.
A question, just a comment. I'm in agreement. Thank you so much, Councilman Hare. I remember part of that, and just this week, some residents on that area, they were excited about the access. Just a quick comment. I'm in agreement with you that I believe, let me frame it like this. There's been a lot of talk about walkability in our city. So I am highly encouraged that that PWC will want to take part in increasing our walkability in our city and allow that to happen. And secondly, I know there was, you said it was there for some sort of protection, for what now? Watershed. So I'm being facetious, but there's a trail on the other side. So if it's one on the other side, and if this one is going to be a potential threat, it would seem like the other one already is. So, and I'm saying that just to say I'm definitely for this. I think we can definitely work something out with our PWC hometown utility.
Councilmember Hondros.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and for the record, I fully support this. So just to expound on my comments earlier, In Greece, we call them goat paths, but you'll see sometimes on major roads where we don't have sidewalks, where there's pedestrian traffic that kind of makes the grass or the vegetation bare spots. So similarly, you see it sometimes in construction projects, apartment complexes, or on college campuses. Sometimes there'll be a parking area or driveway and some walking areas. They'll put sidewalks down, but the engineers or whoever draws it up, they put the sidewalks where maybe it's going to be out of the way or cheaper to install them, whatever. And then the pedestrian traffic doesn't follow the sidewalks, because most pedestrians are going to take a straight line. And that was the reason I asked about those jagged edges. So if we could do both, if not, I mean, it's just a point of putting the trail where people are most likely to walk. And I get the connectivity piece to connect it to the neighborhoods and also connect it to the transit. So I'm good with all that. But that was the only reason I was mentioning about that. But I support this, and I'll push the button twice or raise both my hands, whatever.
Councilmember Davis.
Push the button twice.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just wanted to share my supporters for this as well. When I first came on the council, I took a tour and saw exactly with what the issues were, and with the PwC watershed folks as well. So I advise my council members, those who may be questioning this, to take a tour as well, and then you can also hear from Greenville Lake watershed folks exactly what their concerns are. However, I do think that we can work it out, as many of you said. So I do second his motion, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm waiting for him to make the motion. Go ahead, Councilmember Harris.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem, I move that the City Council receive the report and approves the continuation of the current engineering design phase for the Glenville Lake Crossing project.
And that is the second by Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Ready for the vote? Mr. Mayor, are you on?
Yes, sir. Green.
Everybody
Mayor.
else. Missing one?
No, he said green.
We are unanimous then.
Yeah.
So let's
Thanks,
move on.
Council.
To item 6.05. That is Arts Council alleyway improvement. Who has that item?
Mr. Gibson?
Again, council, this has been a council request that was given to Parks and Recreation to add some value in our downtown environment. And we believe that we've come to a consensus amongst the staff to come up with something that would beautify this environment right here. There are some challenges. You can see the tight space. You can see the concrete and the drainage over to your left. You can see the electric boxes there in the picture. So we believe we've come up with something that makes sense, that adds value. We still need to have a couple more conversation with some downtown communities there, especially the Arts Council. Here's what we believe that we could do is go ahead and put in brick pavers. The main reason we wanted to do that is because it's in between two buildings. So getting sunlight in there so that stuff can grow, especially grass, is challenging, as you can see in this picture. So we believe that we could go ahead and do the brick pavers, same as on the street, fill in some areas, put some drainage in. I don't know if anybody remembers, but there was a request, a council member request. I think it came from the mayor, but it was a request for what they call downtown landscaping and lighting. This is an opportunity to do something in this area that adds value there. We're going to have those conversations, and with the council's approval, then we would start this process. We believe that this is what it would take to fix this area and give it that value. So if that's an approval, then we would move forward with city management and bring back something. And then if that's the case, if everybody approves it, then we would go ahead and do what we do.
Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gibson.
Yes, sir.
So with this alleyway, correct? I see on your office drew up this illustration.
Yes.
Right here. Okay. So,
and can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call this an alleyway.
Okay.
Because it's not a pedestrian, it's not intended to be a pedestrian walk environment.
Okay.
It was just left over between two buildings, and we call it a green space. So when
So
people
this open space.
Exactly.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm
So I
sorry.
see that you have on the left-hand side the trees, and then you have this concrete area.
Yes, sir.
And I know there's a drainage right
Yes,
there.
sir.
Okay. And I just met with the Arts Council a few hours ago in reference to this, and so they also want to feel a part of the whole structure. So I personally would want you all to have that, because Cool Springs downtown plays a part.
They
in
done
this.
sent me the email.
Yeah, they play a part in this as well, and I would recommend that this go back in a discussion and see what all connecting partners downtown input could be to make this a better space, because the Arts Council could put some artwork there.
If you want to put that in your motion, I'm fine with that. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So that they can come back to us for a final approval before we approve this.
That'd be fine.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Councilmember Hondros.
And I like the idea of having more conversation, have the stakeholders there. Can we go back to the previous slide? So, because you mentioned this isn't really a walk space, right? So we have, it looks like there's mulch down there now.
It's more like dirt.
So then if you go to the next slide, I like that. My question and if there was one thing I didn't like about it, so the stamped concrete that's proposed to put down, that in essence makes it a walkway. Right now, it's mulch.
You're inviting people in.
You're
Yes,
inviting
sir.
people to walk.
You're inviting people in.
So, and then if you go to the next page or wherever the cost was, the most expensive part of the project is the stamped concrete.
Yes, sir.
So just being cognizant of stormwater and the runoff. So you're taking pervious area, which is the mulch, and you're making it impervious with stamped concrete. So that water is going to go somewhere. Right now, it's soaking into the ground. When you make it concrete, it's got to go somewhere. And I'm just thinking, because I think we had a conversation about alleyway improvements throughout all of downtown. You know, money is finite, funding is finite. So if we did the improvement project without the stamped concrete, which is, my quick math is what, 36,000 for the top and the bottom, the landscaping plus the other. You take out the 19,000 for the stamped concrete, it goes from 36 to 17. I mean, you could do a lot more projects and take that 19,000, that's just me thinking. So I think, like I said, I like the additional conversation, getting the downtown stakeholders, getting the Arts Council, getting Cool Springs in the conversation. But I don't know why we would take currently pervious area that's kind of green space or open space and make it concrete, because then if I'm just a resident or a pedestrian, I'm walking along the sidewalk on Hay Street and I see more concrete, I just think it's walk. So I'm gonna walk down there, and then you're gonna have, there's a little bit of grass before you get to the sidewalk to get to the back parking lot of the Arts Council. So I just think we're making it a walkway where it's currently not, and I don't know who owns those two properties, but people are going to be, I think we own the Arts Council, the city owns the Arts Council building.
Yes, sir.
You're going to have people walking on somebody's property. If we don't, I don't know. I just don't like the concrete part. Thanks.
Councilwoman Green.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm going to have to agree with Councilmember Davis's assessment. I think the Arts Council needs to weigh in, because to me, the spirit of what he brought in his request was a vibe. And it doesn't really have a vibe to me. It kind of fell flat. No offense to anybody, but it just doesn't, it's not very inviting to me. It doesn't look much different. So just with those comments, and I think that the Arts Council can provide some input to that might be very valuable to us.
Councilwoman McNair.
I have a question. I walk through this area quite a bit when I visit downtown. Is this, I know there are unhoused people sit out there all the time. And I like the fact of the walkway, the concrete. I like that because before I used to have to walk in the mud to get to the other side of the street. And so I'm trying to figure out where you guys trying to go with this.
We were tasked to upgrade it.
Oh, okay.
City Manager Dr. Hewitt.
Thank you. I think that Michael and I have what we wanted. We wanted to show that we were responsive to your request. We think there's, subject to further action from council, we will definitely engage the Arts Council. I would also like to talk to the city attorney about getting a clear survey of if that parcel is an individual parcel or is attached to what is the Arts Council building, the old post office, because that could make for a very attractive defined pocket park that in order to be there after 9 o'clock or something else at night, you would have to have a permit, which may address some of the concerns someone mentioned about the residents nearby. I'll get with city attorney. According to the tax map. I knew he had it. That's why I asked him. And allow us to do some more research. We brought this back in about a month and a half, 2 months. So if you give us maybe another 30 days to reach out to those folks and come back with a proposal, we'll be happy to do that and maybe even have them present with us. But I think now with the additional clarity, not just open space to make it more attractive, but something that could have, what was the word? Vibe, what was that?
Vibe.
For vibe, so that we would be able to program it for, you remember the alleyway that was on the other side here where they had the umbrellas hanging down? Something that could be programmed throughout the year, possibly by the Arts Council or other groups as well. So, Mayor Pro Tem and Council, subject to any additional direction you want to give, we'd like to bring this back in 30 days.
Well, let's get finished with this. Councilmember Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I don't know, I was just wondering, well, we're going to do it now, but how this was developed, an Arts Council alleyway improvement without the input of the Arts Council. Like, how did that happen? I was just wondering.
Well, the Arts Council alleyway was just trying to define where it was.
Location.
If there was never an intent, and I had the conversation with the Arts Council when they emailed me, but there was never any finiteness to this. It was about making sure council got the right direction, and then if we were moving in the right direction,
then we go incorporate the Arts Council. Gotcha.
Mr. Mayor, you have a question?
Yes, sir. I think y'all have covered it. I just wanted to say, from policy budget, I just wanted to move it to if the council. I know we need to know what we're funding, but I guess the consensus would be that the city would pay for it, subject to Arts Council and Cool Springs input and final sign off. I was just trying to move it to that point when I put the comment up.
Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson, isn't there already monies for projects like these?
Well, there are funds that talk about greenway improvements,
right,
gateway improvements. You could define in certain different ways.
So.
Yes, sir.
I thought so. So my next question was, I believe when the motion was made, I can't remember, but I know the conversation stemmed around different alleyways / open spaces in the downtown area. So I guess in my motion, I'll go ahead and make a move that we include other open spaces so that we don't just keep going one by one by one. You just have a feedback on all of them.
The one thing that I
and then prioritize them in reference to what needs to be done first to improve the areas.
The one thing that I would caution
Okay.
is that we need to make sure that the other alleyways throughout the downtown environment belong to the city.
Right. And that'll be in that process. Yeah.
Well, let me just suggest that we clarify this motion for this project first, and then if you want to add to pertain to other alleyways, you can do that in a separate motion. Because this is specifically for the Arts Council.
Okay. For the sake of time, I'll do that.
The state's Arts Council alleyway, that's why I'm saying that.
That's fine. So at this time, I move that we send this back to Parks and Rec to further conversation with all partners of the downtown district and bring us back an improvement plan for the open space.
Awesome. That is second by Councilmember Ferguson. Are we ready for the vote? Question on the motion? Let's vote.
Green.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are unanimous. Did you want to add anything or make a separate?
Yes, sir, I will.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes. Also would like for Parks and Rec to collaborate with all downtown partners to find improvements for all the open alleyways that belong to the city of Fayetteville.
Is there a second? Councilmember Ferguson? Is there a question on the motion? Ready to vote? Mr. Mayor?
Green.
We are unanimous. Now let's move on to our city council agenda items request. First up is Councilmember McNair. You get 5 minutes to present your case. There are additional 5 minutes for questions. Let's wait for the timer before you get started.
Mayor Pro Tem. I
Yes.
believe the clerk said it's 10 minutes now.
I said 5 minutes for her to present her case. Do you have additional 5 minutes for asking questions?
Okay.
That's a total of 10 minutes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
So that everybody understands, whenever we took this to policy and changed this, this would also was to support the questions.
That is correct.
Not so much a 10-minute
Right.
explanation.
That's why I
of
wanted
your
to
concern.
separate the two. You get a good 5 minutes, or how much time it takes you to present your case. If it takes you 5 minutes previously, we wouldn't have time to answer any questions. We would have to amend the policy. This way you get an additional 5 minutes to ask questions around council's tables. Ready when you are,
Can I
Councilwoman.
get my 2 minutes back? I'm just kidding. I'm in 2 seconds.
That's good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, 2 seconds.
2 seconds. I want
2
them
minutes.
back. I want them all back. You ready? All right, thank you. I can certainly say this is perfect timing because we just completed a portion of our city's strategic planning, and one of our 5 top priorities was community safety. And also, for the last 3 years, I've been pushing gun safety in our community. And so I propose on today to establish an establishment of a billboard campaign dedicated to raising awareness about gun safety within our community. This initiative aims to foster responsible firearm ownership and promote secure storage practices among residents. It also raises public awareness.
Clear our screen.
I'm actually a big advocate of dealing with individual mindsets. I think the more people, more we raise the awareness of gun safety, it draws attention to the individual, our communities, on how important it is for us to secure our guns, do not leave them in unlocked cars so that they're stolen, so on and so forth. And also, in community engagement, The initiative is designed to stimulate dialogue about firearm safety, promoting a culture of collective responsibility amongst community members. And so, before I bring my action steps, I want to see if anyone have any questions right now. And then, no, oh, okay, hold on, I forgot one thing. Okay, Chief, I'm gonna ask the chief to come up. We have a report here on stolen firearms and recovered firearms. Yeah, 1 second, you can. All right.
Turn your mic on. No, push the ego. Test. All right, there, good. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, senior leadership team. Yes, in reference to Councilmember McNair, I know on behalf of the Police Department, also Office of Community Safety, we believe this is an excellent idea, great opportunity to educate the public. I know we have already started utilizing social media and ways that we're going to do to bring this public awareness out there. So one of the things that we always are coming across is weapons that are unsecured in vehicles. And, you know, these are how these weapons are getting in the hands of bad actors. Just give you a couple of stats. 2024, we had 468 weapons that was stolen. For 2024, we had 809 recovered. For 2025, we had 507 weapons stolen. And in 2025, we had 785 recovered. So we're talking about every day we're having weapons stolen. So any public awareness that we can bring to this situation, we welcome it.
Any questions? Councilwoman Green?
I have a couple of comments and a couple of questions. So my biggest thing is, y'all all know that I'm the money person. I'm always like, where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from? So that's my first question. I think I know that the chief's marketing budget has mainly been used lately for recruitment. I think that's what I know. I feel that this probably should have come from the opposite direction. This should have come from a request from within the police department or within the Office of Community Safety to us to determine if it was something we'd like to do. I feel like it lives with the Office of Community Safety, maybe, if that was a campaign they wanted to take on as part of something within one of their pillars, and then they would figure out how to walk that through. I don't know exactly what the police foundation's abilities are. Like if you said to them, hey, we want to run a campaign around gun violence and getting the public to understand the importance of being a responsible gun owner, which I think is what I heard, part of what you said. So those are my concerns around this, that where does the money come from and who champions it? And we just did have a discussion about not overtaxing our staff.
Councilmember Hare.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I do like it. I really do like this. I do agree on how we pay for it, but I do like it. I think all forms of awareness, wherever it comes from. I mean, if it comes from the police department, if it comes from OCS, if it comes from my council lady next to me, whoever brings it, it's a good thought. If we can remember a couple of days ago in our strategic planning, I spoke on signage. I think it'd be a good idea to add this to a part of what my council lady is requesting, some form of small signage in neighborhoods about guns, a line through it or something, some kind of verbiage, But any kind of support that we can get to support guns and and locking them up and keeping them from the children, just, whatever the verbiage is going to read. Because we can purely see just what the report that was given is not being done. And we can purely see when we hear it on the news quite often how people are getting guns and shooting each other, even kids are getting them. I think a 2-year-old had one the other day and took it to school. So I can support this, but I would like for staff to kind of let us know how it can be paid for.
Well, we got a lot now. Councilmember Davis?
Yeah, my question was only, do we know exactly estimated cost? But I guess if you send it back to staff, they can come back with those numbers. So,
Councilmember Ferguson?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So that is a request to send it to staff to take it up. I would ask if we could possibly consider other mediums with the realization that billboards are fairly expensive and they would have to take a number of them. And I agree with, the effort in the campaign, but we are looking at the money as well. But I think there are other avenues. When you're driving down the street and you got this big billboard, if you're driving, you don't have but much time. There's not a whole lot that you can include in the billboard unless you're at a stop, unless you're stopped. But I think there can be other avenues. He was talking about signs and different avenues. So could we look at all other mediums in addition to?
I'll leave that to whoever makes the motion.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at her and I don't have to amend, but I think if at the same time you're looking at billboards, I think that's kind of like a closed way of looking at, just look at it in a broad context and look at every medium that is necessary and reach the people that are relative to the issue.
Councilmember Hondros.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. To kind of echo my colleagues, I don't know if I could support it as is. We don't have a cost. We don't know if it's coming from OCS, from PD budget, or general fund, and the other medium. So again, it's not just the cost of the billboard, but I don't know how impactful they are, as opposed to, there was an idea someone had previous meeting or some meeting I was in where they were talking about handing out a flyer or some kind of leaflet to the gun stores, where when people purchase the firearms, they get that with it as a mandatory or voluntary thing, because then you're targeting that audience. So the people that are purchasing the firearms are getting that, saying, hey, you need to lock your firearms up. I think a lot of the manufacturers provide locks for them as well. So packaging all those things. I just don't know that the cost of the billboards per se is going to give you the bang for the buck.
Councilmember McMillan, 15 seconds.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to thank you, Councilmember McNair, for bringing this proposal to the table. I would love to support, in any way I can. I'm thinking beyond the billboard also. You and I know that our constituents are concerned about this issue. They're heavily impacted. They're asking for answers, and appreciate that you had the courage to bring it to the council and answer. I'm also thinking about the advantage we'd have to tying this to campaigns. We've talked about key communicators in our community. There is an organization that worked here a couple of years ago, North Carolinians Against Gun Violence. One of their lead organizers actually is from Fayetteville. And then there's also organizations like Fayetteville, Drums Up, Guns Down.
Yeah.
And even if we don't hit it with this billboard, I think there's opportunity with the willingness to bring those organizations in and go back to the community with some answers and some solid conversations about how we stop this.
Well, I think we all agree that it's a great idea. We're just trying to figure out how we're going to get there. So I'm going to go to your motion, Councilmember McNair.
I have a
Go
comment.
ahead, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry. We've run out of time, but I'll give you, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I just want to say I support this. I think that just like the governor's highway safety program to promote safety, I think we need to look at it like a public safety information campaign. Again, if she would possibly, when staff brings it back, allow this to be paired with maybe grants from the Crime Commission or other opportunities to leverage those funds and to have a sustained campaign. The thing about marketing is you're trying to change a behavior. So, if you get 25,000 for billboards only for 6 months, did you really change the behavior? And the thing I think that this is more of a public message is because it's not only people buying the guns out the shop. You've got people who have them who need to lock them up at home from the kids. You've got people who need to lock their car doors at night, which could be a reminder. So I just think that this can go a lot of positive ways, and you could also, leverage other dollars. So maybe, Councilmember McNair, if you make the motion, that staff come back with a couple of options to expand it. I love it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Jones, 1 minute.
Very quick. The North Carolina Department of Public Safety had a campaign called Safe, Securing All Firearms Effectively, where they had a week of intentional effort. If I just wanted to toss that out there as a possible source to look at what they've done. They may have some resources available to us that we could use that may kind of cut down on the costs.
Thank you. And I think NC Cares can probably help us out also. Councilmember Harris?
Yeah, I want to continue to support and assist my colleague here, and maybe for you to consider the billboards and all avenues.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, in your motion.
I will.
Ready for the motion, Councilmember McNair?
Yes. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to research costs and options for implementing a public awareness campaign on billboards throughout the city focused on firearms safety and responsible gun storage. And what was the addition?
And other areas.
And all other avenues
Second,
are
sir.
welcome.
This has been motion and properly seconded by Councilmember Harris. There's questions on the motion. Ready for your vote?
Green.
Good job.
Missing one?
Do you know?
Oh, one is a no. I'm still missing. Well, that's everybody. One is a no. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm great.
Okay, I got you, Mr. Mayor. That is 9-1. Let's move on to item 6.07, as you were. Mr. Mayor, senior technology literacy?
Yes, thank you all. So as we've talked about, going about during the campaign, I broached an idea with some of the senior citizens about how it is that they were adapting to technology changes. As you know, the world is moving fast with smartphones. People are doing their banking, grocery shopping, and other things. And by doing so, I wanted to make sure that our seniors were comfortable using technology. Oftentimes, they are the target of scams, which oftentimes come in through the phone, telling them to provide information that subjects them to financial loss and other safety measures. So the idea was to get participation using our senior centers, open space. It was well received as I made it throughout the city, broaching the idea with some of the seniors. Our rec centers, places where they already are attendees, and then the equipment. The city has a capital or technology a TIP program where we replace and update iPads and laptops, and maybe at the end of the useful life for us, it's an opportunity to use this equipment to teach these classes. And then the final thing I'll say is this provides another social network for them where they are in there with their peers learning at their own pace, and oftentimes don't feel as intimidated or as much pressure if it takes a little longer to understand it. So asking for the council's support. If this is successful, we'll definitely reach out to the county and to the schools to see if they could play a role and to maybe have some volunteer or some equipment contributions. So that was my ask of the council.
Councilwoman McNair. Councilmember Davis?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So I do support this because I do meet with seniors from the East as well, but I also meet with seniors at the senior living facilities in my district. And I was there when the mayor had brought this up, and they were very enthused about this. So I do support this, and I will second his motion if he, I don't know if that was a motion or not, but I think second his motion.
Councilmember McMillan. Councilmember Jones.
Yes, I support it too. I just want to give quick testimony that would probably lend support to it as well. I'm definitely for it. My grandmother is almost 96, and we basically did this on our own. 96 years old. She can use that tablet now and stream and do all these other things. So it's possible. If she can do it, sometimes I think she can work it better than me. But I definitely support it. But I wanted to share that because this is wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think I have a testimony also. I think me and the mayor was having a conversation one day when I was trying to check in for a doctor's appointment. And I guess when you go to your doctor's appointment now, you have to check in by phone. And the older lady didn't know how to scan the barcode and do all the stuff you need to use by phone. So we, sparked the conversation. But Mr. Mayor, so there's no budgetary requirements along with this request. We're just going to try to get IT to use the IT commitment and IT staff to come to a city-owned facility, senior citizens to present these classes?
Mainly what I would like to do, I didn't foresee a real budget impact on us. I know our staff is bogged down, but if they could come back with some ideas to not only use our IT staff, but mainly our IT equipment, and maybe there's a lot of volunteers or people who are in our senior centers or rec centers already that could do it. So it may be some staff time, but I didn't see any real capital investment required by the council.
So is that a motion, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. I move that the council would support instructing staff to come back with a couple of options as to how this can be implemented as described.
Second by Councilmember Jones. Question on the motion? Councilmember Davis, I apologize. Second by Councilmember Davis. Any questions on the motion? Let's vote.
Green.
You're still up, Mr. Mayor, with your agenda item for expand sewer grant program.
All right, and council, I'll be brief on this.
Well, one second, Mr. Mayor. Let us restart the clock.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Council, I'll be brief on this. Thank you for your indulgence. Also, too, just being able, during the campaigns, it allows you to make it around the city in various areas, particularly out west. Speaking to people out there, of course, the city and PwC have been working to try to bring Phase 5 online as quickly as possible. And I thought about the success that we have by tweaking existing programs that we had in our toolbox, and a few adjustments to our home ownership program took it from a very scarcely used program to now it's one of the most successful programs that we have, and thankful to staff for coming back with some ideas about that. But thinking with that same concept, each year as Phase 5 is built out, PwC is now estimating that the time for completion will be beyond the estimated time of 2028. And now they're looking at possibly another 7 to 8 years with a cost that now exceeds over $200 million. And part of that slow go, pay as you go, is because their connections are not coming in as fast as they would like to support the business model. So we've already watched the costs go up. We're watching residents who are out west who've been promised this task since 2006 when they were annexed. Many of you came on council based on that, and particularly your predecessors did. But the thought here was to not only use the block grant dollars, which are federal dollars, which say that it has to go to a certain income level person, but to see if there's an opportunity to expand the income qualifications from 60% of median income, maybe up to 80 or 120% of median income. By doing that, even if we have to supplement the $5,000 grant out of general fund dollars, we now take these parcels that are out west, and as PwC are running trunk lines out here to some of these areas, the residential hookups will follow because the builders are looking for land everywhere. Polk County's out of water, so their construction is severely impacted. Tim Bryant had talked to Polk County about them buying water, but he has water capacity, and PwC welcomed this, at least from Tim's perspective, to say that this could really help accelerate their connections, which is the goal, to cut this time of installation down. So asking for consideration on that. Of course, staff would check the legalities of it, And just considering if these was $5,000 grant, and we did, 50 as a test model, what the impact would be with accelerating sewer and infrastructure installation. So that's the consideration I have. Open to any questions.
No questions, Mr. Mayor, but I'd like to make a comment, and I just like for my residents in the southwest part of Fayetteville to realize that we know this is taking a long time, but the way that they used to use their drinking water is not feasible these days. Storm water and, well water is not what it used to be. There are so many things that can harm the body now when it comes to what you're drinking out of your well. It's just not safe. And we need to make sure we use any mechanisms we can to make sure that we get the southwest part and some of the other annex parts in the city of Fayetteville, PWC water as fast as possible. And I think this is one way we can do it, Mr. Mayor. Are there any other questions? Is there a second on the motion?
What was the percentage?
So to have them explore, right now it's 60% median income. If they looked at it like the home ownership program that didn't have the federal dollar restrictions, maybe 80 to 100%. And keep in mind, even with the $5,000 grant that you provide to a person that's 60% AMI, oftentimes they're not the homeowner, they're the renter. And so the program is underutilized. And so that was the ask, that it would be a mirroring program, but a higher percentage.
I mean, who's going to set the percentage? Is staff coming back with that?
We'll come back with
Yes,
recommendations.
yes, sir. They would come back.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman McNair?
I just want a second. You looking for a second?
Okay. Councilmember McMillan?
Yeah, no, just want to show appreciation for creatively thinking through solutions on behalf of our neighbors and especially in Western Fayetteville. And I support the motion.
So it's moved and properly seconded by Councilmember McNair. Any other questions on the motion? Ready for the vote?
Green.
That passes 10-0. Our last and final council item requests Councilmember Jones.
I will make this quick. You all, I mentioned, sorry. My request, as you saw online, I won't, again, go into a lot of detail. Basically, what I want to do is simply increase the visibility of some of our public hearing signs. And for me personally, I believe any budgetary effect to that will be minimum compared to potentially increased participation. This came about, if you go by any public hearing site, usually the signs, if it's one or something, they're not really legible. And I've noticed when they are stuck in there or something, they're just really flimsy and it's hard, really hard to read. And so this came up through some residents that had a public hearing. This was even before council. I went out and notified them as well. And I know we have mailers that go out, and thank you, Councilman Harris, some years ago, how you put in to request the expanded notification area. So this to me is an extension of that. And just to give you all an example of what I was looking for, recently there were some solid waste signs that were out. Those signs were large. You could read them by passing by. And so I wanted to just bring this forward so that we could possibly have staff to look at ways where we can improve that, not only with the signage, but anything online. I estimated roughly 10 hours or so, but just so that we can do our best to keep the public informed and really make it visible and really blatant, whether it's the quantity of signs or the quality of the signs, but giving staff the flexibility to bring it back for any considerations.
Let me just clarify. Are you talking about the quality of sign? Are you talking about increasing the size of the sign, like the 24 to 24? I don't know what we're using now, 18 by 12.
It would be up to staff. It would definitely have to increase the visibility. If you look right by now, you can't even really read the numbers on it. The only reason I really know that is Fayetteville because I'm familiar with the color pattern. And so I got some complaints from several different areas. This is not the first time as far as the visibility. And it comes into play because if they're flimsy. And so if something comes, a car can ride by those things, like campaign signs,
Right.
but they're flimsy. And so if they're blown away, they won't even know the public hearing is actually there. So whatever that looks like, that's why I said, just to give the staff some latitude to kind of figure out what that looks like. But again, I referenced the solid waste signs. They were
Right.
They were.
I just
very
wanted to
clear.
clarify, because if what you're stating is true, there is no budgetary requirements. If I'm reading what you're saying right, you just want them to use the one signs that they normally use, that they put the big pegs on, that's white, that everybody can see, instead of using the small flimsy signs, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so it might be some, that's what I'm saying, the budgetary effect will be, in my opinion, small. Again, I'm not the budget guy, but yes, sir.
Councilmember Hondros.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the additional comments down here, possible methods, the ask is just for, those were just ideas. The ask is for staff to come back at a future date with recommendations, correct?
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Davis.
I'm just seconding his motion.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just got a couple questions on it because our districts butt up against each other. I've gotten the same responses from a lot of the residents, and it was something I was going to bring up. So thank you for bringing that forward. My question is, as far as the signs, are you referring to including like for zoning and all the hearings? Okay. So there were also some suggestions. Is that something that we could just give to them, or is that something?
Whatever he puts in his motion is what staff will bring back.
Okay. Yeah. But I'm saying as far, they're going to bring back some suggestions. Can we make some suggestions to the?
Whatever he puts in his motion is what staff is going to bring back.
So he would need to put all the suggestions in his motion. Okay. So, yeah, that's something I'll probably do later. But QR codes, increased size, the higher contrast, larger font. They also was asking about, I think you mentioned expanding the parameter, that he expanded it, but was expanded to?
It's already been expanded 1,000 feet.
To 1,000.
Right, to 1,000.
Right, so it was.
That's already been done.
Right, well, even further than that is what, but what was it? Do you remember what it was?
It used to be 500. Now
So
it's
it's
1,000.
500, now it's expanded to 1,000. Used to be 250, Lord Jesus.
Now it's 1,000.
Okay, all right. So that was one of the pieces too, and just those added elements and considerations, and considering mobile as well, and kind of catching up in the technological area where people can get a mobile.
Councilman McMillan. No. Councilmember Davis. Oh, let's clarify the motion. Councilmember Jones.
I want to make it kind of vague so that we won't limit staff so much. I want to move to direct staff to bring us back any applicable improvements as it relates to signage and digital accessibility for city communications as it relates to zoning public requests.
Does that cover everything that you asked for, Councilmember Ferguson?
It does, not specifically, but it does enough, and I think they heard it, so they can.
Because I have and that's what Councilman Hondros was saying. I have some things below, and it includes all of that, and they know what I was asking for, and it does include QR codes and all of that. So just
Councilman Davis.
Yeah, we wanted to.
Councilmember Davis, second the motion. Is question on the motion? Ready for your vote? Mr. Mayor? He said green. That passes unanimously.
Green.
That is unanimous. Are there any alibis before we adjourn?
Thank you. Thank you, Council.
It's been second, properly moved.
Second.
Have a good night, everyone.